What's going on? Alright, we are live now, and today we're gonna talk about Waves Aphex Vintage Aural Exciter, one and only. It's very rare, very unique plugin that you cannot really find anything like that anywhere. So let's get going. Domo, this is Soto from Mixer's Hive. Welcome to the live stream, and we're going to talk about Waves plugin today. But before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button right there for the YouTube algorithm, and also make sure to subscribe and hit that bell button so that whenever we go live, you get the notification. Just so you know, we go live more than ever actually, more than video. Well, we do the live and we upload that live stream video, but live first, so don't miss any of that. We do at least 2 live streams a week, could be more. Grammy season is coming up, so maybe it's gonna be more. Little hint. Anyways, so let's talk about the Waves Aphex Vintage Aural Exciter. What a name, right? Exciting, exciter. It's not an EQ, it's not, you know, something to play with frequency. It's not something to play with dynamics. Well, it does at the end of, the day, but what is this? What would it do? And what's great about it? So we're gonna talk all about it, and we're gonna, peek into details. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave it in the comment down below, or if you're on the web browser, it could be to the side right here, maybe. Anyways, so let's hit to the different screen right here. Oh, that's Pro Tools. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So this is the website of the Waves, and Waves Aphex Vintage Aural Exciter is now on sale. Yay, $41.99. Awesome. Its regular price is $299, and that's most likely what I paid on it. Waves started putting a lot of things on sale, so for those who paid full price, but it's a good product. I was happy that I paid that amount. I mean, I wasn't happy, but I thought I got what's worth that money, so that's great. All right, so what is this and what's all great about this, right? So when I scroll down here, you get all the information that you need. You get all the videos. The Waves, well, the Waves is really great at putting the tutorial videos up. So it's short, it's nice. So yeah, definitely go check that out. There's artist interviews who uses this plugin, and believe it or not, here's a user guide. That's a manual. And if you are one of those rare species who actually reads manual still, like myself, then go download and read it. If you're not that kind of person, then, and also that's maybe you're here for, but this is kind of like a video manual, so feel free to watch and enjoy. Anyway, so this is the plugin, but of course it used to be a hardware. This is the modeling plugin off of the actual hardware existed from mid-70s, that they said. So this device, the hardware unit, was made by the company called Aphex, and I've never seen it. I've never touched it. I've never used it. And then I did some digging, and they said it's actually made only a few, not mass created for the worldwide distribution, seems like. So yeah, no wonder I'd never stumbled upon it. But Waves and Aphex got together and worked together, analyzed the devices that Aphex still had a few in their maybe headquarters or the storage, and then they came up with this plugin. And this is a very Waves thing that they did. But instead of just making the exact replicate of the hardware in the computer world, they actually twisted it and made it very unique and suitable to the modern plugin production process, which is awesome. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to show you actually on the plugin, but that's awesome. Yeah, so that's that. And you know what, let's just jump on it, right? We don't want to talk about it too much. We want to hear the music, so let's get on it. Alright, where is the Pro Tools? Here's the Pro Tools. Great. So the session that we're using today right now, and what you see right now on the Pro Tools screen, is of the song This Way by the band Black Lyon. They're in the west coast of the United States. Mainly, I think they're in LA right now, but I know they've been in Florida. They were in Boston in the past. Anyway, so they're a great band. I actually call them a cinematic pop. I don't know what they think about it, or if such thing exists. But their background is film scoring, and they use a lot of strings arrangement to layer things up and fatten things up. So I just call it cinematic. This single came out in 2009, about this time, I believe. I put the link to the original video down below, so please go and check that out later, not now yet. Oh, and also I put the track, the reference track of the song that I got for the mixing. But anyways, so this is the stem out session. So there are like a couple hundred, maybe 150 tracks all together in the mixing session. So I grouped them all together, balanced it out, and this is the stem session. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stereo tracks and 1 stereo track. This is the mixed down, pre-master, not mastered track. So why don't we, before we talk about this, why don't we just play back how it is, the current state of the song, just a little bit. I'll just play a little bit of a chorus and see how it sounds, right? It's not playing, is it? The setting is correct, but it is not playing, and I don't know why. Let's give it a check, quick check. Sorry guys, I checked it before the beginning of the session, but I don't know why it's not playing. Oh no, I'm confused. This is not good. Give me 1 second, guys and gals. So I may need to quit Pro Tools and restart. Or let's give it a quick try here, and I'm gonna bring this up to the stereo. So I get a speakers here, so I'm gonna try to see if I can hear from these from the speaker. Then I can't. What's going on? I'm gonna unsolo it. There you go. So something wrong with this one. What's going on? Oh, maybe the input. Alright, fine. I'm gonna skip this. I'm not gonna play the I'm not gonna play the mixed version. I'm just gonna play the stems. and they sound a little bit different from the original, but bear with me, that's not horribly different. So I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way.
I'll call you later, it's fine. I brought a stone to my side. Brick walls are fading me out, graffiti dreams that I can't escape. Hey baby, how have you been?
Okay, so that's how the song sounds. And in this, as I mentioned, it's cinematic pop, and to me, it's a wall of sound. It's got a synth, it's got a guitar, it's got the layers of vocal harmonies, it's got the strings on top of sound effects. So it's very thick and dense song arrangement, and in that, I need to make the voice pop, because you know it's a pop. So in that kind of situation, the Aural exciter always comes in play and handy very well. So let's talk about it. Okay, so let's actually tackle one knob at a time, right? We're gonna start with the simplest, which are the input and output knobs. And you know, it's straightforward. Input controls how much signals that you're putting into the device, and output how much is coming out of the device. But this input knob is very important, because just like many other analog emulation or emulating plugins, the input like depends on how much input the device is getting, it changes how it reacts to the signal. So probably the easiest to think about is a tape machine, right? So when you have the tape machine emulation and you put more signal into it, then you get more tape compression, so you get more of that like tape sound. Same thing for the Aphex vintage Aural exciter. When you put the signal in, then it reacts differently. It's not that you get more of the excitement out of it if you put more. It's just it changes depending on how much you put in. So definitely play with it, how much you put into the device, and adjust output accordingly based on how much you're putting into the device, right? Because if you push 3 dB, you might want to pull 3 dB to compensate. Okay, so these are two knobs. That's pretty straightforward. And then I'm going to talk about this X mix knob in the middle. So this one right now is grayed out. I'm going to change it to this one for now so that we can just move it around and see it. But this is, as the name mix suggests, this mixes two signals. It blends two signals. What are these two signals? Well, think a reverb plugin, right? So reverb plugin was the mix knob. It's got a wet 100% and dry 0%. When you're putting 100% wet, you get only the reverb sound. And when you put 0%, you get only dry signal. And for obviously, when you put something in the middle, like 50%, you get half dry signal and half wet signal. Is that clear, right? So in that kind of situation, yeah, that makes sense. This mix knob should do the same thing, right? Well, not quite. I wouldn't say that it doesn't do it, but not quite. I'm gonna explain it later, so don't wait for it. But in general, this blends two signals together in a way, the dry signal mostly and excited signal, the affected signal, right? So that's a mix knob. And here we have the meter selection, what to show in the VU meter up here. One is input, one is output, one is the effects, the exciter, right? And up here we got a VU meter. It's calibrated to minus 18 dB, and that actually you can adjust and calibrate to your liking, which I didn't know until I was preparing for this session, right? Because it's actually this little screw up here. Not this one on the right, the one on the left. If you grab it and move up and down, you can actually calibrate to different value to show in that VU meter. That's pretty dope. I love it. I love these little how'd you call it? Like surprise, the Easter eggs, right? You say that, right? So I love these kind of Easter eggs that, software engineers and anybody put in. I love these. Okay, so we talked about this little knob view meter. Let's talk about this right side where it's labeled analog. So this noise knob off in our rig, the original noise, I don't know if you can hear, I can actually hear that on the speakers, but the white noise is what you get from the actual hardware when you plug it in, right? And you have control over how much to put in. I don't know why anyone would put it, be honest with you. Same thing for this hum 50 hertz and 60 hertz. Ever since Waves put out the analog emulation plugins out, they always put this 50 hertz and 60 hertz and noise in it. I always put it to off, and everybody I've talked so far got it to off always, so I don't know why it's still there. If I could get a great explanation, I would really appreciate it. Waves people. But everything else sounds great, so I'm not like talking shit about it. I'm just saying. Anyway, so now the last but not least, let's talk about this mode switch right here. And this mode switch is very, very tricky. That's why I left it to the end. So let's start with the simplest one. Simplest one is this AX. As I mentioned earlier, when you're using this device as send and return, so as you can see in Pro Tools, you got this lead vocal track up on top, and instead of inserting directly into the track, I am sending it out to this bus, which I named it X Exciter, and there I inserted this in the AX mode. That means, and as you can see on this AX mix knob, this mode, AX mode, spits out only the affected signal. Meaning that right here is set 10, right? And you cannot move it because it's 100%. It's mix. 100%, sorry, it's wet signal. Why? When you're sending a signal to, since you're already getting dry signal from the original track, you do not want to mix in the original signal in the send and return track, the return aux track in this case. So I control how much to send to this device by moving the send fader. Okay, if you're in Logic or Ableton, it's more like a knob or dial, but either way, how much you send to the bus determines how much you're sending to the effects. And for that matter, that you use AX so that you get 100% of affected signal. Okay, you get that? That's all right? That's pretty straightforward, right? It's just exactly how you use reverb or delay. Okay. Now, mix 1 and mix 2, let me skip that and let's hit BP. And BP is bypass. And the first time I saw that, I was like, why bypass? Like, what? Like, I got the bypass button right here on top. If you're in Logic, you get this little like power button, and anything else you can command click on it and whatever. So why did you put bypass in here to confuse already confusing mode button or mode switcher here? What are the differences? Well, when you hit bypass here for the plug-in bypass, you're basically just putting this to sleep, so it's not doing anything. So as if it's not there, it's deactivated. And there, it's tricky. I use the word deactivate. It's slightly different in Pro Tools because you can actually deactivate or make it inactive, which is different from bypass. But in this context, it doesn't matter. It just put the plugin to sleep so it doesn't do anything, right? When you put this knob to the BP, the bypass, it actually does something. And that something is the modeling out of the analog hardware that analyzed, right? So when they're making this, they realize that when you plug something in, and even if you put in the bypass, it's actually altering signal. And that's pretty common for analog gear, because I bet you've heard people saying like, hey, Neve mic pre is awesome. I'm not adding any gains, I'm not using any EQ, but just putting it through this device, I get Neve sound. I hear that all the time. So it's kind of same idea of this one. So when you put it through this, even in the bypass mode, it will give you the sound of the device. I think there's like a high pass filter going on, a little bit of the notch or the band pass is going, but that's what it is. Okay. When do I use it? I don't know, but it's nice to have the option, right? Because I'm not like bypassing it fully, but I mean I'm getting analog sound out of it, so that's a plus. So let's talk about mix 1 and mix 2. And guess what? I'm going to skip mix 1 and talk mix 2 first. So the hardware device, the actual hardware device, has got a 2 modes. Well, 3 to be specific. 1, AX, the send and return mode. And 2, the mix mode. And 3, the bypass, right? And the mix mode provided by the device itself wasn't a true wet and dry mix in. Why? Well, because 1, the bypass we talk about, bypass is not true bypass, so it's got sound to it. And also the mixed signal, and all these are very similar and common that they're playing with each other's phase, I believe. So let's pull this down to 0. I'm gonna audio demo later after talking, but when I push this up, you start getting the exciter sound little by little, but for some reason when you hit 5 and 6 area, you start hearing weird dip to the sound. High, mid-high, high range. And then when you pass 7 and 7.5 around that area, all of a sudden you get this shininess out of this plugin, right? So basically you get control. If you want that shiny sound of this plugin, you only get like this much control in a way, but if you have use for it, the area like range here is also useful. So that's the mix. This is the mix emulation of the actual hardware. Now the mix 1 though is a little bit different, because nowadays a lot of people wants to put plugins in the insert slot of the track instead of sending it into the bus and other aux track. And you want to use the mix knob to mix the blend, the dry and wet signal in. Wait, but if you use the mix 2, can we do that? Well, as I mentioned, that's not true wet and dry. But when you put it into the mix 1, this is the emulation of the AX mode that we talked about, the 100%, and the true bypass direct signal. So when you use mix 1 and you play with the X mix, you actually get I don't know if it's exactly linear, but pretty linear sound. When you have 0, it's dry signal, and when you push it in, you are increasing the amount of the wet signal, so that when you have 5 set on this knob, you get 50% of dry signal, the true dry signal, and 50% of the wet signal. Unlike in mix 2, which you like is solely which you like, right? So there are differences. Now let's put that into the test and listen to them. I'm going to use the lead vocal for this one right now, but if you have any preferences on what to put this on, so right now we have the lead vocal, background vocal, the kick and drums. Drums is everything but kick of the drums, guitar, keys, and strings, and sound effects, but you don't want to hear this on sound effects. So if any of you watching right now, listening right now, have any idea or opinion or request on which one to put this plugin on, let me know in the comment, please. Okay, so this is on the vocal track right now, and let's actually demonstrate this AX mode, which is the true wet signal, only wet signal, 100%, input 0, output 0, just set to 0. And let's see the output as a monitor. No noise, waves. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna play this area. This is I think a hook going into the second verse. So I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna increase the send knob little by little, and I bet you can hear. I am pretty sure that you can hear this because this is pretty exciting sound. Okay, so what I was gonna say? Yes. So though this is rather obvious side of the sound differences, please use headphones, especially for the sound, like headphone monitors, or the studio grade speakers, all right, so that you can hear the differences. All right, here we go.
I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'll call you later, it's fine. I brought a storm to my sunny day. Brick walls are fading me out, graffiti dreams that I can't escape. Hey baby, how have you been? Do you feel magnets that are pushing you? You say you know where to go, the painted ladies are calling now. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'll call you later, it's fine. I brought a storm to my sunny day. Brick walls are fading me out, graffiti dreams that I can't escape. Hey baby, how have you been? Do you feel magnets that are pushing you?
Wow, did you hear that? That's pretty amazing how it opens up the sound and literally making it sound very exciter. By the way, the original device, the hardware, is tube driven, so yeah, I bet a lot of the sound is coming from the tube. But yeah, so that is the AX module or mode. Let's put into mix 2, so true hardware mix mode, which isn't really true mix knob or mix setup, because it, I guess skewer the signal, I guess. Anyway, so I'm gonna kill this bus. I'm gonna put this into the insert and I'm gonna play it, and this time I'm gonna keep it to 0 X mix, and I'm gonna increase the mix slowly, so you're gonna hear the excitement increasing up until about 5, and then it decreases a little bit. You hear the dip, and then after 7 or 8, then you're gonna hear massive excitement. So here we go.
I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'll call you later, it's fine. I brought a storm to my sunny day. Brick walls are fading me out, graffiti dreams that I can't escape.
Okay, it wasn't a fair comparison. Let me repeat this section. I'm just gonna keep repeating and playing the hook section, and I'm gonna solo this so that you can hear it in a way clear fashion.
I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like.
I hope you guys can hear this. So there's a huge dip right here, and this gets obviously too much brightness or too much excitement, and the 4 and 5 are not quite enough. So this mode is an interesting mode. I don't know how and when I would use it. I'm pretty much always on the AX mode or AX mode. I have the exciter sends parallel processing, and I send tracks into this one Aphex vintage Aural exciter that I want excitement for. Let's try mix 1 and let's play it. Maybe we can do a A/B comparison with the AX mode, but you know, I try waves. They're great company. So let's do this. I'm gonna unmute this or bypass it, and I'm gonna solo this again, and let's do this. I'm gonna start with 0.
I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be, and I like myself this way. I'm everything I fear I'd be.
So you can hear that this is more linear fashion when you're mixing in the wet signal. So that's the mode. So BP, mix 1, mix 2, and AX. My recommendation is to stay on AX and put in the bus on or the aux track, and keep the mix 100%. But you know, how you use it is all on you. So explore, have fun with this, and get excited. Man, I can do this all day because I'm so excited, you know. Anyways, so awesome plugin that's on sale. Definitely go and get it. I don't think there has been any mixes out there in last maybe 3 years that I didn't use this. Like 100% of time, this is in my session. How much I've used it, it's a little different, you know. It's not always 100% I always used it, but it's in my template, mix template. So whenever I start the mix, I know this is in the session, and I always send signal to this, you know, more or less. Okay, so thank you very much for tuning in. That's about it for this. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Waves has this universal save, load, A/B preset section, which I'm not going to talk about today, but this is awesome. Or you can always have 2 setups, so A and B, and you can go back and forth and compare the sound and decide on which one to use. You can always copy A to B, or you can load template, you can save template. So yeah, this is awesome. I like, you know, how Waves put this together. So yeah, we do this kind of live streaming of, so every Friday we do plugin Fridays. We talk about plugins. We pick one plugin that I like to use and explain it and make it almost like a video manual. And other times we talk about random music related stuff. So come tune in, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so that you get notification next time I go on live, and make sure to leave the thumbs up, like button, please. That will help the channel and the video and me. Alright, so have a good Friday evening, have a nice weekend, and I will see you next week. Ciao.